Is Professor George with us now? Chisom.
Yes, he's with us now.
Oh, fantastic. So Chisom, you can take the floor. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome, Professor George. So I'm going to read Professor George's bio. Professor George is a computer scientist whose work spans virtual reality, computer graphics, human-computer interaction, and artificial intelligence. He is the IEEE's Computer Society President 2026, the UNESCO Chair on Artificial Intelligence and Extended Reality, and a Fellow of Eurographics and the IEEE. He leads the Graphics and Interaction Group at the INESCID and is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Instituto Superior Técnico IST University in Lisbon, Portugal. Professor George is the editor-in-chief of Computer and Graphics and Visual Computing. He has co-chaired the IEEE VR and Euroviz, Eurographics 1998, and served on more than 200 programs committee. He earned his master's degree and PhD from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and his Bachelor of Engineering from the IST as well, and received the IFIP Silver Core Award in 2014. And tonight he's joining us all the way from Lisbon, Portugal, to speak on artificial intelligence and education. Welcome, Professor George. You have the floor. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this very detailed introduction. I almost do not recognize the person there. Before I start, let me see if I can share the screen. I did not try this, but I believe. Okay, let me start the presentation I had prepared. I made the mistake of not asking Professor Celestine what was the background of the participants here, and therefore, I may be at fault for having prepared a generic presentation, but please let me know in the process if I am covering topics that are of general knowledge here. So I assume that we have students in the audience, we have educators in the audience. Will the educators raise their hands so I get an idea for the mix and match of skills here? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. I assume that the most people present here are students, which is I targeted the presentation at the general audience, so feel free at any point to interrupt me. I will. I have a couple of slides and want to discuss the dilemmas posed by AI in education. Now let me share the screen, which is, I believe, yeah, this one. Are you? Okay, I assume you all are seeing my screen?
Yes.
Very good. Feel free to ask me questions because right now I entered the black hole of Zoom presentations. I'm looking at my screen, my slides, and I haven't had time to connect from a second computer, so I cannot see your faces or reactions. So at any point, feel free to interrupt if there is something that you feel it's overly simplified or not. And okay, so I decided to talk about our AI in education, traps, pitfalls, and opportunities. So this is more a reflection on the state of play than really about a tutorial. What we'll cover today are mostly understanding AI. As I said, I'm not sure on the background of the general public here. So I focus on some basic concepts, discussing the benefits and limitations, and talking a little bit about the frontiers of academic integrity and the barriers to the introduction of AI in education. Okay, we have quite a sizable crowd. Very welcome. So why this matters right now? Well, the reality is that students are already using AI tools daily, often without guidance or supervision. We are being asked to create policies without adequate training, and parents express legitimate concerns about cheating and misinformation. Meanwhile, I believe we are at a crossroads where schools need clear guidelines and educators need support, not hype or fear mongering. I am a bit of a skeptic when it comes to AI, given that AI these days seems to be treated like ketchup. People think that just adding AI to something improves its flavor or performance, and that should be taken with a grain of salt. As a result of the recent hype, AI is already everywhere. We have streaming platforms like Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, and Netflix and Spotify and Amazon Plus use AI to recommend shows and songs based on your viewing and listening patterns. That's a form of collaborative filtering. And the important thing that we should know is that AI is not a monster, it's not a monolith, it's a collection of disjoint techniques. For example, navigation apps such as Google Maps and Waze analyze traffic patterns in real time and usage patterns, and they use those to suggest the fastest routes. In your cell phones, I don't know if you use these kinds of smartphones, but device security uses already fingerprint recognition and facial recognition to authenticate your identity. So passwords are kind of becoming replaced by biometrics. And I'm not going to discuss the virtues and pitfalls there, just to say that pattern recognition and classification, one of the staples of AI, is being used now. And of course, customer service bots have been customer service chatbots are now used to answer questions instantly, routing complex issues to human representatives, and that's a plus most of the time. Sometimes you can have funny things happening, such as when a customer managed to extract a free flight from Canada, Air Canada, because their chatbot was talking too much, and a court judge would not accept Air Canada's claims that the chatbot was acting on its own. And so AI is everywhere. And we have education tools, many platforms that you already use, from grading software to learning management systems, include AI features more or less silently. And so I'm going to focus this part on 5 central questions. How do we use as machine learning / artificial intelligence as a teaching ally instead of an adversary? I firmly believe that one of the answers to increased AI use is not to ban AI in the classroom, but to leverage technology to enhance instructions without diminishing human connection. So AI should be here to help us and not for fostering the attack of the killer robots. How do we keep learning meaningful and human? Well, we should ensure students that they develop authentic understanding, not just surface level shortcuts. And that's an important issue that I'm going to cover here, and I hope that you will join me on this trip. How can we prevent cheating and dependency? That's one of the major concerns among people about the use of AI. And I believe that one of the answers is on designing assessments and tasks that require genuine human thinking and reflection. You know, people tend to think, and that's a very human trait, that machines are sentient and that large language models now all of a sudden make machines smart and intelligent. And that's totally not true. So how do we make students to keep this human eminent faculty, which is thinking instead of copying? We should really focus on creating assignments where artificial intelligence and machine learning serve as a tool for exploration, not a substitute for critical thinking or effort. And the other question that comes with that is, how do we stay in control of the technology? It's important for us professors to maintain pedagogical authority while embracing innovation responsibly. And it's important for us as students to understand how AI can empower us instead of making us dumber. So what is AI? And this is the part that I'm not sure about the level of the play of the audience. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with AI, so let's build a solid foundation by exploring what AI actually is, how it learns, and why it matters for education. So at its core, AI is software, and it's not magic. The goal is always to support humans and not replace them. So the motivation of this, and let me give you a little bit of history here. AI has been a participant in this search of intelligence, and the term artificial intelligence itself was invented by the American computer scientist John McCarthy, also the inventor of Lisp, that you can see on the left hand of this gallery of pioneers and celebrities. This was used in the title of a conference that took place in the year 1956, where I believe that almost everybody here was not born, including myself, believe it or not. During this meeting, programs were presented that played chess and checkers, proved theorems, and interpreted texts. And the programs were thought to simulate human intelligent behavior. However, the terms intelligence and intelligent human behavior are not very well defined or understood. And so this definition of artificial intelligence leads to the paradox of a discipline whose principal purpose is its own definition. And so the objective originally was to stimulate human intelligence through machines. How does this come up? Well, in the 80s, the technology we collectively know as machine learning was developed with some triumphs to its credit. There have been a series of highs and lows in the evolution of AI. One of the highs in the early 90s was, I don't know if you recognize the guy in this picture. Does anybody recognize him? Garry Kasparov. Yes, thank you. The famous Russian chess master that was defeated by defeated by a computer, an IBM computer, in the early 90s. And so that was one of the exponents, one of the summits of AI. Of course, in the 90s, we also had data mining, and in the 2000s, finally, we saw the advent of big data and deep learning. And I don't know if anybody knows the name of this context that I'm showing here in the left. You can speak or write on the chat window, if you will. Yes, it's called Jeopardy. And in 2010, a Watson computer became champion at Jeopardy, and this was also mainstream for IBM. And In the 2010s, we also saw AlphaGo, one of the more complex games ever invented by humans, which saw the triumph of a thing called reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is a technique, a recent technique where AI improves by trial and error, receiving rewards for good decisions and penalties for poor ones. In a sense that over time, it learns optimal strategies. This approach has powered adaptive learning platforms and educational games. When a student answers correctly, the system rewards that pathway and adjusts difficulty accordingly. When they struggle, it provides simpler problems or additional hints. This is remarkably similar to how children learn from feedback, attempting, adjusting, and gradually mastering skills through repeated practice. So, it seems that AI is finally coming to the level of human intelligence, but I offer you a counterexample. Autonomous vehicles are one task at where, despite all the hype, I still believe that humans are better and worse of AI, and you do not have a general program that allows Tesla or Waymo vehicles to steer totally independently, although progresses are being made, and this is very complicated, and it demonstrates, it's one of the things that demonstrate the limits of the state-of-the-art AI. And if you believe that AI is all-powerful intellect, just look at autocorrector on your cell phones, and I believe autocorrectors should be the example of why AI and killer robots are not coming to dominate us anytime soon. Anyway, so Gen AI, OpenAI has been the exponent of the generative AI, and they demonstrated natural language, text generation, translation, and question answering, and that's indeed ChatGPT has been one of the great advances in this set of technologies or this tool set. Mind you, AI is real a set of different technologies. We have supervised learning, which classifies things, and that's probably the major accounts for the major the largest quantity of AI applications. We have generative AI, of course. People talk about this, and we have other things like unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning that we talked already. So supervised learning, supervised learning is simply a black box that classifies incoming information. It sees a stimulus, it has been trained to recognize things as either belonging to a category or not. It is now used in applications such as email, where spam filters use classifiers to separate spam from regular mail with great success. Advertisement, user profile, where people look at your clicks, classifiers look at people's clicks to identify which advertisement works or not. Recognizing and positioning cars on the road, and that's one of the tools in self-driving cars. Diagnostics in X-ray images. This was an early industrial applications that would find image defects in industrial products by looking at, images of phones and decided where there was a defective integrated circuit or printed circuit board. You have speech-to-text applications, and you have things like Yelp and TripAdvisor that also use collaborative filtering. Now, generative AI happened around the last decade, where people found out that if you would train large-scale AI systems, you could develop a technique called transformers, and that they would perform so much better at tasks like natural language parsing and recognition over small-scale AI systems. And this has been the bread and butter of what we call AI these days. But you know, generating text with large language models is basically a matter of statistics. You write a prompt, I love to eat, and the LLM generates something like steak and French fries, and you say, no, I don't like that. That's not the case. And then it looks at the most likely statistical alternative, that's homemade food. Or you say, no, homemade food is not what I want. Oh, I love to eat out with friends. And this is what AI generates. So it's mere statistical models, not intelligence. And so what they do, they use a pre-training model that converts A to B maps inputs to outputs by predicting the next word. So if the input is my favorite food is the output is likely to come as steak because that's statistically the most likely word. So if you accept that my favorite food is steak and French fries, okay? Simple statistical model. So not that this is not intelligence. This you can think of large language models as a giant automaton that is trained to generate statistically plausible output. When we train a large AI systems with billions or trillions of words, we get a large language model such as GPT. And if you pardon my French, only French speakers will understand the joke. There are many chat GPTs or generative pre-trained transformer. In French, that translates to chat GPT. I won't elaborate on the joke. And so there are many tools such as Chat, Bard, Bing, Llama 2, and so forth and so vital. Now, what we should know about the limitations and virtues of AI. AI is literal, which means that AI only responds to what you explicitly ask. It cannot read your mind. It cannot, at the present state of play, infer unstated contexts because multimodal AI, multimodal large language models are still on their inception. So you really need to specify very precisely the input. And poor prompts, it's give poor results. Common prompt anti-patterns and how to avoid them. The vague prompt doesn't work. Overloaded prompt, missing the question. Vague success criteria output always are examples of vague, ambiguous instructions that would lead to generic, irrelevant, or nonsensical output. So there is this category of prompt engineering that you all have heard about. And teachers must, context matters, which is important here. So educators must provide audience, purpose, format, and constraints for useful responses. And students have also learned that. One of the things that I've learned from practice is that critical thinking is essential. AI can give you, or large language models, or what you want to call it, can give you lots and lots of wrong, erroneous answers. So we need to evaluate output skeptically, check facts, assess bias, and apply your professional judgment. It's not just so. Unlike what people think, AI is not like ketchup. You cannot just add it to season all kinds of applications and expect better results. You can get skewed output. You can get things that make statistical sense but are totally nonsense from a model of the world perspective. And you don't know if you're dealing with biased data. Remember that AI has been trained on as much human-produced texts as the creators could get their hands on. And you can have flawed data sourcing, and that can by itself lead to poor diagnostics and poor data and and things that do not make any kind of sense. AI cannot tell the hours on an analog clock because AI has not been trained on all sorts of analog clock settings. because most of the clocks that are available online usually point to 10 past 10 a.m. AI tends to think that all clocks have are set to this hour. Oh, I should have added this slide. Anyway, just one thing for your consideration that recently people have found out that if you are not nice, if you are not polite, if you treat AI very badly and insult large language models and call very bad names to ChatGPT, it can improve its accuracy. Trust me, I am a professor, I've been there. Food for thought, there is a paper that actually did a user study that substantiates this claim. Okay, so AI in education. AI in education has quite a long history, and it even predates the use of the term AI. 1 century ago, there were a generation of teaching machines that were early mechanical devices that were providing immediate feedback on student responses, pioneering the concept of automated instruction. There is a whole page of Wikipedia dedicated to this, and I'll save you the details. In the 1960s, there came Plato, a software system. This is an illustration of a Plato console. It had a touch screen, as you could see, a keyboard. And Plato standard for programmed logic for automated teaching operations. Plato not only changed e-learning, however, it also changed the world and how we communicate with each other on the many different levels. So this was a staple of the 1960s, which also brought us hypertexts and many early systems. In the 1980s to the 2000s, there came the advent of intelligent tutoring systems and user modeling. So, okay, the laptop is not exactly 1980. Well, the early laptops arrived during the 1980s, and the intelligent tutoring systems try to model user behavior and user expectations, and they attempted to match individual user needs, modeling expert human tutors. These were the good old days of expert systems. I don't know if anybody here has ever used expert systems or have heard of it. Feel free to drop questions or comments in the chat window. But yes, those were the good old days. In this century, we've already seen adaptive learning systems, and those are typically web-based models that scale personalization using algorithms to adjust difficulty and pacing dynamically to the perceived student features or limitations. And of course, in the 20,000 in this decade, we've seen the generative AI revolution with ChatGPT, Midjourney, and many a plethora of similar tools that democratize the access to powerful machine learning and artificial intelligence techniques, bringing unprecedented capabilities and challenges into classrooms. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to forward them either to Professor Celestine, or who's moderating this, or to ask them directly. Raise your hand, and I'll be happy to post questions. So, now that we've seen what AI is kind of all about in education, what are the benefits and challenges? Let's explore its realistic advantages and honest limitations in educational settings. One of the promises of AI is personalized learning. Is the idea that we can use machine learning to adapt the content to individual student needs at a scale that was impossible for teachers alone. And this is a major revolution in the making, because traditionally our schools follow the German approach of mass learning and unadaptive, one size fits all, in a sense that despite the advances in artificial intelligence, we are still in the Industrial Revolution, where our model of teaching still pretty much functions like the Ford Model T, which famously Henry Ford said that you can have in any color as long as it's black. And so traditional classrooms face this impossible challenge. How can one educator meet the unique needs of 25 to 30 different learners simultaneously? And this gets worse if you have hundreds of learners, and even MOOCs do not solve this problem. So moving on. So AI has the promise of adapting difficulty levels automatically based on student performance, and this is already present in many LMS or learning management systems. When I talk about AI, I'm not talking just about LLMs, but also about machine learning components embedded in many day-to-day applications. You can also tailor explanations to match language and age. This is one of the great advantages of large language models, supposedly, where you can adapt explanations to match either language proficiency, native language, and age-appropriate content. And this has the possibility now, through large language models, that we can offer multiple examples and formats for different learning styles, with the caveat: you can never trust 100% the output of LLMs because they don't reason, they just simulate fluency. One of the key advantages of adopting chatbots as teaching assistants is that you can allow shy students now to ask. Did I use something? Are you still seeing my slides? Hello?
It's just blank at the moment.
It's blank, yes.
I'm seeing a blank screen, and that's what is happening here. I'm seeing my slides. What happened here? Interesting. Let me stop share and resume share to see if this solves the problem. Never happened to me. You can believe that technology can strike at the most unexpected time. Now back to screen sharing. Where was I? Are those hands related to questions? I can answer questions while I resume screen sharing shenanigans. Oh, wait a minute. Must have been PowerPoint. Let me go to PowerPoint. No. PowerPoint should be working correctly. So it must be Zoom. Oh, wow. Okay. Share screen. Share. Okay. Okay. Are we back on track? Okay. Are there any to discuss? So saving precious teacher time, going back to where we were, you can generate materials like creating rubrics, quizzes, practice tests, and study guides quickly, providing rich feedback to students, track progress, monitor student performance across assignments, and identify trends. This is has come as a staple in many learning management systems. You can flag students that will need extra support based on performance patterns. And most of all, and important, you can reduce administrative work and saving more time for teaching. And you can streamline attendance reporting and communication tasks. And I have a whole experience of using learning management systems like Moodle and manually crafting programs to allow to support these tasks. one thing is important is really richer materials. You can generate more diverse examples, media, and explanations quickly and easily. Believe it or not, half of the pictures that I chose for this presentation were AI generated.
I've allowed you
So I
to.
could generate this presentation in.
No, I've given you access. You can now.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Hello.
can, Professor. Yes.
Okay, I was hearing some back talk. I was not sure whether I was coming through or not. And all these result in increasing student engagement, where when we design these materials thoughtfully, AI-powered activities can significantly boost student motivation and participation. Example, we have been for 12 years doing gamification, using game-based learning with clear goals and immediate rewards to maintain focus. I have done a master's level course since 2012, and we have documented this on using gamification to improve learning outcomes. Interactive exercises, you can provide dynamic stories and simulations to make abstract concepts tangible. Rich media, such as visuals, animations, VR, AR experiences, and simulators cater to visual learnings, creative production, and most of all, instant feedback. And of course, one of the more important things here is that AI has enabled transformative potential for students with disabilities, for using, for instance, speech-to-text conversion. This helps students to struggle with writing. Text-to-speech supports reading difficulties. Simplified explanations, where you can use AI to rewrite complex texts at lower reading levels or translate into students' native language. Visual support, generate diagrams, icons, and images for visual learners, and multiple modes of teaching. And people report that for many students, especially those with anxiety or low confidence, you can use those tools to provide a psychologically safe space to practice, fail, and improve without social pressure. And this can reduce fear of asking questions, build confidence, and create a more supportive learning environment. There are 5 myths of using AI in class that I would like to address. AI will replace teachers. This is perhaps the most persistent myth about AI in education. Look, there's a misnomer. It's not really artificial intelligence. It cannot mentor, it cannot motivate, or it cannot genuinely care about students. AI cannot manage complex classroom dynamics, teach social emotional skills, model ethical behavior, or inspire passion for learning. Teachers guide critical thinking, cultivate values, build relationships, and mount countless nuanced decisions every day. And these human capabilities remain irreplaceable. And the myth number 2 is that the computer is always right. And this is, of course, as if you have used large language models, you know that this is false. There are hallucinations, which I cannot improperly call hallucinations because it's syntactically correct in natural language, such as English, Russian, Portuguese, Ukrainian, French, Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, but it does not make any sense because large language models do not have a world model that they can check their assertions against. You don't know whether the data where the AI has been trained as bias. It does not understand the world. It does not know about physics or about physiology of humans. And all output requires verification and critical thinking. Students must learn to verify information systematically, not trust AI outputs blindly. This is a major task for us. The myth number 3 is the AI kills creativity, and this could not be further from the truth. Creativity requires human taste, judgment, curation, and decision making. Students still must design, evaluate options, make choices, and synthesize ideas into original work. Overdependence becomes a problem only when we design tasks poorly. So AI can be used to brainstorm, visualize concepts, experiment different narrative structures, and generate multiple variations and compare and refine. Myth number 4, AI is only used in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's totally false. In languages and literacy, it can generate poems, although from experience, not some exciting ones. AI is not Shakespeare for sure, although it can reproduce Shakespeare. It can analyze the essays. You can use AI as reviewer number 2 to criticize your texts mercilessly, and I've been using this in my academic writing. In visual arts, AI can create reference images, explore styles, generate conceptual art. In music, it can help people compose melodies, analyze chord progressions, and generate accompaniment like percussion or bass tracks. In history, it can simulate historical debates, generate primary source style documents, explore perspectives. And in philosophy, you can use it to present ethical dilemmas, role play different positions, and so forth and so weiter. Myth number 5, just press a button. That is totally false. Using AI effectively is not effortless or automatic. Quality output depends entirely on quality input. Garbage in, garbage out. You must write clear instructions with context, audience, format, and constraints. First outputs usually need editing, fact-checking, and pedagogical adjustment. Educational goals and learning theories must drive tool selection or the inverse. And learners must think critically about all sorts of outputs, not just copy blindly. And we should make all these final decisions about content, pacing, and assessments. Real risks that we must address: students getting quick answers without engaging on deep thinking or problem-solving process. That's a real problem that we should take care of. And generating entire assignments becomes trivially easy if assessments aren't redesigned, so we must redesign assessments. And we should check for biased or false information that can propagate quickly when students do not learn to verify sources, and this is a critical skill that they should be taken, they should be taught. People should avoid productive, people usually are tempted to avoid productive struggle, missing opportunities to develop perseverance, and that's a kind of a danger of cognitive debt. Cognitive debt occurs when students rely so heavily on AI that their own thinking skills atrophy. And research shows that when learners outsource mental work completely, they struggle to think independently, retain less information, have difficulty with problem solving, and show decreased performance when AI isn't available. The brain, like a muscle, needs regular exercise. When AI does all the heavy lifting, students miss critical opportunities to develop cognitive strength. So we should use AI to support thinking, not replace it. Design tasks where AI serves as a research assistant, brainstorming partner, or feedback provider. What remains is uniquely human. Ethical judgment, AI does not provide that. Empathy and compassion, far from that. These are replaceable human skills. These replaceable human skills are the heart of teaching. AI can process information, but only teachers can inspire, comfort, challenge, and truly understand their students. And this comes into question the integrity, academic integrity. This is fundamentally about honesty and intellectual responsibility. Traditional academic integrity rules were written for a pre-AI world, and they don't adequately address tools that can generate entire essays in seconds. And plagiarism has become totally easier and harder to detect. We should reimagine education with generative AI. We need updated expectations that acknowledge the existence of large language models while maintaining genuine learning standards.
Yeah.
Plagiarism is not a new thing. Traditional copy and paste has been with us for decades.
Professor Jorge,
yes.
Look at time up. Sorry, just round up. No, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So the solution is not better policing, it's better assessment design and explicit teaching about citation attribution and ethical use. And plagiarism has consequences in the real world, university expulsions, competition disqualifications, paper retractions or publishing rejections, and leading to prize revocations. So we need to improve, we need to develop policies requiring students to disclose AI tool use, distinguish between allowed and forbidden applications, and training professors and educators in professional development, provide workshops on prompt engineering and sharing best practices. And we need to really redesign assessments, moving from take-home essays as sole evaluation to in-class writing, oral presentations, and require process documentation. AI can also be part of the solution by helping us identify bad practices using deepfake detection, submission comparison across submissions, style analysis, and pattern recognition. However, detection alone is not enough. We need to train students how to detect deep fakes and establish clear classroom rules, what's allowed, what's prohibited. I would go into that about this, but no, there is no time. So this brings us to the conclusion of my presentation. We should focus on ethical use over convenience. Faster isn't always better. Easier is not always right. Authentic learning requires effort, reflection, and time. We should require genuine seeking from students, not just information retrieval. Involve reflection, synthesis, and personal connection. Value process as much as products, and encourage productive struggle and perseverance. We should design tasks that encourage students to use artificial intelligence to help and supplement their effort and creative abilities, not to replace them. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention, whomever is still here.
Thank you so much, Professor George, for this fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. A round of applause, please, for Professor. Thank you very much. We are so happy. Thank you. Questions later.